You're listening to Natasha in Nashville, part of the Standup, Lie Down collection. Written by Chastity Veldt. Narrated by canâ Erotica. Published by Horsemen Publishing Incorporated. Copyright Chastity Veldt 2020. All rights reserved. Chapter 1. Jake closed the door to his hotel room, dropped his suitcase on the chair, and pulled the comforter off the king-size bed. He folded it up and stuck it by the door before picking up the phone and pressing 0 for the front desk. "Hi, this is Jake Nilsen, in room 615. I was wondering if I could get a fresh comforter, please." "Nelson?" asked the front desk clerk. "No, Nilsen," said Jake. "I just want to make sure it's fresh and clean." "We'll make sure it's freshly laundered," the clerk promised. Jake unpacked his suitcase carefully, unfolding and hanging up his only sports coat, followed by his shirts and jeans. As a stand-up comic, Jake made sure to always take good care of his work clothes, which meant unpacking as soon as he arrived in a new city and hanging up everything, including his jeans. He also always requested a new comforter as soon as he arrived, because he had heard the horror stories about how infrequently the housekeeping staff changed the comforters, so he wanted to be sure there weren't any unexplained dried fluids on his quilt. It was early Tuesday afternoon, and Jake was in Nashville for a rare 5-night gig at a comedy club called Fry's. The club had put him up in a hotel on Broadway just a few blocks from the club and the downtown Nashville bar scene. Jake had been in Louisville 2 weeks ago, and this past week he had spent a rare week off visiting an old friend from college in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Rob and Jake had been on the University of Minnesota swim team together, and Rob was now a high school social studies teacher in Bowling Green and the school's swim coach. Jake helped Rob coach the young swimmers during the afternoon and spent his mornings at the coffee shop near Fountain Square Park writing new material, or the evenings going to the Bowling Green hot rod baseball games at the ballpark. Jake's week in Louisville had been spent in the bed of Lydia Woodruff, the manager of an art gallery as well as an outstanding artist. He bought one of her post-impressionist paintings, which was now crated up and secured to the back of his pickup. She had also sketched and painted a few nudes of Jake featuring his swimmer's physique and toned abs, as well as his 8.5-inch dick. Most of them were only half-finished and seriously wrinkled, since Jake and Lydia usually ended up doing it on top of her sketch pad when she was half-finished with a sketch. This week, Jake was supposed to middle at Fry's, as well as MC the open mic nights on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. He hated MCing open mics, but he preferred longer stays than just the one-and-dones he had as an opener, so he asked his manager to book longer stays in cities, even if it meant MCing the open mics. Plus, they paid $50 per night, and he wasn't too proud to listen to shitty comics for $100. Jake had just finished putting his underwear and socks away when there was a knock at the door, and one of the housekeeping staff delivered his new quilt. Jake tipped her a few dollars and closed the door. He remade his bed and decided to lie down for a quick nap before he checked in at the club to let him know he was there. 2 hours later, Jake was at Fry's, knocking on the manager's door, which was already open. "Hi there," said a woman sitting at the desk. She stood up and offered her hand. "I'm Cherry." "Hi, Jake Nilsen." "Nelson?" said Cherry. "No, Nilsen." "Popcorn?" asked Cherry, holding up what looked like a tub of movie popcorn. Jake held up his hand and shook his head. "No, thanks. We have a popcorn machine at the bar, and I'm on this damn diet where I can only eat popcorn for lunch and dinner." "Wow, I'll bet that gets boring after a while," said Jake. "Yeah, my farts smell like butter." Jake laughed and said, "That's pretty good. Do you ever do comedy?" "For a while, but I got tired of life on the road. My husband and I decided to buy this place when the owner was sick and looking to sell. We got divorced a few years later. He got the dog and I got the club." "Wow, that worked out pretty well for you." "Maybe. The dog may constantly lick his balls, but he isn't a self-entitled dickhead who demands his own dressing room." "I knew a comic like that. A self-entitled dickhead? Yeah, there's lots of those." "No, he could lick his own balls." Cherry threw her head back and laughed. She high-fived Jake and said, "You win. That was good. By the way, thanks for the hotel room. I managed to get a quick nap before I got here." You're welcome. I appreciate your flexibility. The headliner is a woman, and I just don't feel right forcing co-ed housing on you both. Besides, my cousin is the manager at the hotel, and she gives me free nights if they're not over."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?